Hey, I'm Nolan Stoltz, composer of the Route 66 Suite, and I'm here in my studio in Osage Arts Community researching a ghost town in Illinois. Green Ridge was located between Girard and Neilwood along what is now Illinois State Highway 4. It is a true ghost town. There are no structures, no residents. It's a nearly forgotten town, and its only real claim to fame is being the hometown of one James Bullough Lansing, initials JBL. Yes, the same JBL as the speaker company. But Green Ridge's relationship to Route 66 is certainly overlooked, so that's why I've been looking into this ghost town, to see what sort of inspiration I can find from this place. I'm going to read a passage from Jerry McClanahan's Easy Guide to Route 66. If you're new to 66, definitely get this book. So it says, the section from Girard to Neilwood is fantastic. A slice of the 1920s, winding tipsy through the farmland. Frequently a crack, like the snaking course of a river, meanders along the middle of this evocative concrete road. Now, Green Ridge is not listed on this map here, but it says Green Ridge Road. That picture I just showed you, that's Green Ridge Road. That's the road that led into this ghost town of Green Ridge. This map here is from 1925. 1 year before the road drawn in red there was designated as Route 66. The eastern edge of Green Ridge is only a quarter mile from Route 66, built around the railroad tracks. It is common for Route 66 to skirt around a town that is centered around the railroad. That road was only Route 66 from 1926 to 1930, at which point Route 66 was aligned further east, and a new road was built that went right through Green Ridge. This map here from 1931 shows that new road, which to this day is still Illinois State Highway 4. Here's a close-up of Green Ridge with Illinois 4 going right through it. In fact, going right over where some buildings used to be. This map depicts 48 buildings on the west side of the railroad and 6 on the east side of the railroad. And here's that same view from 1925. This photo from somewhere around 1910 shows several buildings in Green Ridge, so it was likely from that southwest part of town. I have to wonder if James Bullough Lansing lived in one of those houses pictured here. Green Ridge was a mining town. The mine was on the northeast side, so presumably the buildings over there were related to that, and the workers lived on the southwest side of town. But mining halted in 1923, 3 years before Route 66 was designated. The population quickly dwindled, so from 1926 to 30, when Route 66 came by, the town was dying. But for those first 4 years of Route 66, there was a town of Green Ridge clearly visible from the highway. The next part of the video begins to the southeast of Green Ridge, and we head north, which is eastbound on Route 66, and then turn left onto Green Ridge Road, and then going to head on to what was once Green Ridge. Now, earlier this year, on my way to Chicago, I spent some time in Green Ridge to get some inspiration for the 66 Ghost Towns movement of my Route 66 suite. I also took some photos and video, and then I recently annotated them for my Patreon subscribers and for this video. Route 66 is that north-south road drawn in red. The map shows a couple of buildings on either side of the road, and we'll pass the one on the left, and you'll see the driveway that leads up to it. Even though mining ended there in 1923, the town continued to exist for a short while. I've seen one report as lasting until 1926, another one in 1930. In either case, there was likely some activity in Green Ridge during the Route 66 era of 1926 to 1930. I mentioned James Bullough Lansing earlier. He changed his name, actually, perhaps to avoid discrimination. He was born in 1902 as James Martini, and his father was a coal mining engineer, so it makes sense that they would have lived in Green Ridge. In researching Green Ridge and another mining-based Illinois Route 66 ghost town, Selbytown, I'm coming across many Italian names. For example, the manager of the Green Ridge Mining Company around that time was Joseph Uimagi. Nowadays, having a last name of Martini would be awesome, but perhaps not then and there. Between 1926 and 1930, A Route 66 traveler would have seen Green Ridge off to the west, with several buildings on the north side of the road and dozens of homes in the distance on the other side of the railroad tracks. The place name of Green Ridge was in use as late as May 1961, as the U.S. Department of Agriculture listed the Green Ridge livestock market as being located in Green Ridge, Illinois. According to that 1925 topographic map I showed you earlier, railroad tracks would have crossed where the group of trees on the left are. This is where the railroad sidings were. This would have been the east edge of town. From here, a road went off to the northwest, headed toward the mine. And on the right, about here, was the first of a group of 5 buildings. And then another one about here, with one directly behind it, and another one about here, and the 5th one about here. And then a road went to the northeast toward the mine from here, connecting to the road I just mentioned, and then one more building on the right. Then starting from where the group of trees on the left are, several sets of railroad tracks cross the road. I found a list of stops of an electric train line between Springfield and St. Louis, and Green Ridge was one of them. Presumably the stop continued through 1930, if not later. On the other side of the tracks is the west side of Green Ridge, with reportedly 45 buildings and 3 cross streets on the southwest side of town and 3 buildings on the northwest side. This is looking back towards Route 66 to the east. According to that 1925 map, there were 6 buildings right here, one by the railroad tracks, 4 more along the road, and the 6th one behind one of them. One of these buildings was probably a grain elevator because I found a 1926 court case involving a grain elevator in Green Ridge, and it makes sense it would be next to a railroad track. Next, we'll zoom across the railroad tracks as if we're continuing west down Green Ridge Road through the center of Green Ridge, and then we'll zoom back out looking to the southwest, where, according to the map, stood 45 buildings on the south side of Green Ridge Road. The current Illinois 4 did not exist in the era of Route 66, so I've crossed it out. Shown here in yellow, green, purple, and white, there were 3 north-south streets and an additional east-west street. There were also 3 buildings and a north-south road on the north side of Green Ridge Road. And the west edge of town was the next set of railroad tracks. Here's another look at that circa 1910 picture of Green Ridge. It's likely in this southwest part of town. It's been reported that around this time there were 300 residents with 65 houses, a store, and a school, but I've yet to confirm that. I have confirmed there was a post office until 1919. Considering its close proximity to Nillwood, it's not surprising it closed before the mines did. Continuing along Green Ridge Road, we can imagine a building on the right, here where Illinois 4 is now, and then imagine another building on the right where the cornfield begins. On the right, you'll see a faint road. That was likely the one we saw on the map. And again on the right, just before the telephone pole, another building. Across the street on the left was the first of 3 north-south streets. And here is the second street heading to the south. And about here was the 3rd street. And then the line of trees ahead indicates where the other railroad tracks were, the west edge of town. I'm going to keep researching Green Ridge and see what more I can find about the town and head back out there this spring and get a better feel for the town. So I hope you enjoyed this video, got something out of it. There's more videos on my Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Route66Suite. Go ahead and subscribe there, and I hope to see you out on the road.